freeze work permits. Visa bulletins were stuck in 2013. Green card holders getting caught not notices. And now $100,000 fee to work in the US. If this isn't an immigration crisis, what would you call it? Friends, thank you so much for joining us here on Immigration Talk Show. I'm Nipasa. I'm going to be your host for today's session, and we're live right now on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You can also check us out on Twitter and on Instagram. Thank you so much. Feel free to share this with all your friends to join us in this session that is lined up. It's going to be a superb and informative session because we're going to have a new guest join us. And before we have her join us here on our session, I have this important disclaimer for all of you to keep in mind throughout this webinar we're going to have today. And that is by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. And today's guest is going to be none other than attorney Gabriella Agostinelli. And she's an immigration attorney at Berardi Immigration Law with a practice spanning, both business and family-based filings. So she counsels multinational corporations on workforce movement across borders, also guiding executives and HR professionals through the complex world of visas and compliance. And at the same time, she provides compassionate support to families seeking to stay together in the US, understanding the deeply personal nature of each case. So, a third generation Italian American, Gabriella, she appreciates the weight of immigration decisions and aims to treat each client like family. And she's an active member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association and is admitted to practice in New York. And without further ado, please help me welcome her for the first time here on Immigration Talk Show, none other than attorney Gabriella Agostinelli. Hi, Gabriella.
Hi, Nipasa. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited. And we briefly had a chat earlier, but really good to see you. So maybe you could also tell us a little more to the audience if you want to add more to your very interesting bio.
No, I think that pretty much sums it up. One thing about me is that I practice very close to the Canadian border. So not only do I work with individuals from all over the world, but I have a lot of experience of understanding how our borders are secured, how people can move across our borders, and that's particularly relevant in this time frame. It's come up quite a bit, as you can imagine.
Absolutely. And this year has been super interesting ever since, our President Trump joined office. And it's been like almost 11 months now. And I think every day has been interesting for you, especially the lawyers will know, immigration lawyers. What would you like to say on that too?
Yeah, so we were just talking before we joined that every day is a new adventure. Every day something comes down the pipeline, and the sobering aspect of it really is so many of you who are listening could surmise and may feel is that there have been so many different policies out there right now that are really just trying to drive the message home of America is closing its borders or is trying to project the image that we don't want more people. And what I want to also address in the room is that there's probably a lot of you who are feeling a lot of fear, who are feeling insecurity, who are feeling confusion because you are constantly being bombarded with one new thing in immigration after the other. And you're seeing images of protesters and you're hearing stories of people denied at the border. And while all those things are happening and while that is true, one thing I do want to do is to infuse a sense of confidence in those who are listening that yes, while there are some policies that are not very immigrant friendly happening right now, for sure, in practice, what I have seen is that people are still getting approved consistently. Could we be getting a little bit more pushback? Yes, but the law is the law. And by law, people are still getting their cases to a successful conclusion. And the type of people who really need to be concerned right now are not so much the people who are here minding their own business, who have never broken a law, who are contributing to our economy and doing the right things. It's people who do have criminal backgrounds, who have uh, violated immigration regulations, people who have been quite outspoken about our government and or in any kind of way aligned themselves with any kind of terrorist organization. Aside from those individuals, I want you to know that even despite the constant challenges, it's still pretty much business as usual for me.
That is good to know, Gabriella, and thank you so much. Really, today's discussion is going to be on, is America really closing its doors? So, looking into what's really happening in the US right now. And friends out there, I can see Sid Mohan already has joined us, and very relevant questions. We are going to pick them also in the show. So, please feel free to comment wherever you're watching. We are live right now on YouTube. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show. Don't forget to like and also subscribe to our channel. We are also live on Facebook and on LinkedIn as well. So, yes, feel free to join us and comment wherever you're watching. So, I think I'll just drop the questions now, Gabriella, if you're ready.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how do government shutdowns and LCA freezes, they affect foreign workers, and what protections are available for those impacted right now?
So whenever a government shutdown happens, there are some areas, especially my aspect of business immigration, that we do get a little bit nervous. But the good news is, and I will explain that briefly, but for the most part, we are interacting with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Whenever we submit a petition for both either a non-immigrant visa or an immigrant petition, we are working with USCIS. Now, USCIS is a fee-funded agency, which means it can continue to operate during a government shutdown because we are the ones, or my clients are the ones who are paying that agency money to process their cases. So they stay open. But we do come into quite of an issue with this on the DOL side. The Department of Labor, up until Monday, was completely shut down, meaning it does not accept any LCAs, it does not accept any kind of labor certifications or requests or any kind of prevailing wage requests. So all of our H-1B and a lot of our perm work has been at a standstill until Monday, when magically the DOL was deemed essential enough that the administration said, okay, DOL, you can go back to work, despite the fact that the shutdown is still happening. Now, in recognition of the fact that people were growing antsier and antsier and saying, what the heck do we do? I can't submit my H because I can't go and download my LCA, or my LCA can't pend. The government said last week that it will allow you they will consider late filings of H-1Bs until the time that they are able to get a certified LCA. And while not exclusively saying this, they basically were saying, we will understand that you are filing late because it was through no fault of your own. But fortunately, we don't have to worry much about that now that the LCAs are back up and running once again.
Thank goodness for that. So that's good news for folks out there. Please note all of these important updates that you are getting through the show. And hi, Sid Mohan. Thank you so much for joining us once again here on our show. We are going to take up your question. Please stay with us. But the next thing I want to know, Gabrielle, I mean, with the government shutdown, of course, by when do you think it's going to start being not shut down anymore? Because I mean, we have Thanksgiving coming up, the holiday season coming up, and if it goes too long, what's going to happen?
Yeah, great questions. One thing I didn't discuss that I want to I do want to address. The good thing is that our Department of State, which runs our consulates and embassies worldwide, they still can continue to function. They can still host visa appointments. They could still grant immigrant and non-immigrant visas. But with the shutdown in general, one of the things we can expect is still delays across the board with reduced funding and so many third-party contractors that the government relies on, and already an issue of workforce. We can expect that things are going to still take a bit longer. The protections that are in place for us from an immigration perspective, I do anticipate that the government is going to continue to make exceptions and start deeming more agencies essential so that processing can continue before real issues come down the pipeline. But the government has not been very vocal about what it is willing to do to alleviate this issue in the interim.
That is the scariest part, I think. And, when you think about it, so many people, they are in a dilemma, as in what are they going to do? They're in a state of limbo, like whether I
Mhm,
should continue, whether I should wait, because it's like their futures held, careers held.
mhm,
They don't know exactly what they should be doing. So let's
mhm,
hope for sure that things start working out fast. But just generally speaking, like you deal with a lot of Indian immigrants as well, right? We were speaking
mhm,
earlier. So,
mhm.
I mean, before this year, I'm sure we've always had like wait times and processing times, but by how much is it more delayed now with all these things going on?
I still wouldn't think it would be substantially delayed just because these agencies are already fee funded and they are already in a position to continue to operate even during a shutdown. So if you're somebody who's stuck in a backlog or who has retrogressing, I wouldn't let that worry you too much that it's going to change much more from the already abhorrent wait times you're already working with.
Okay, okay, we'll take that. Thank you so much, Gabriella. And a big hello to Bhargav, who's also joined us. Please stay with us. We will pick your question very soon in the show. So, the next thing I wanted to know from you, Gabriella, is why do some applicants with older priority dates face delays in green card processing while others are approved sooner?
Yes, and this topic is one of the greatest sources of anger that I have as an immigration lawyer. That, coincidentally, the people who do the most for our country in terms of helping push innovation forward and do so many good things for our economy and for our country, people from India, people from China, these are the ones who are subject to the greatest backlog. And of course, this backlog is happening. For Chinese nationals right now, we're looking at about a 4 to 5 year wait. For Indian nationals, for a long time, it's been about a 12 to 14 year wait, depending on your circumstances, for a green card. And of course, the rule behind this, and this goes to Bargov's question as well, of why is this happening? Well, it's happening because there's this rule, which I don't appreciate, saying that not any one country can take up more than 7% of the United States annual allotment of green cards. Despite the fact that there's way more demand from India, from China, from Mexico, from Philippines for those kinds of visas. And the real uh, terrible thing that has happened, we go through these periods of retrogressions. We had one in October 2020. Following the pandemic, there was a glut of visa numbers that became available to Indian nationals. And we immediately rushed October 2020. We filed a ton of adjustments of status. And I still have clients whose adjustments of status are still pending. And people are saying, what the heck? How is this fair? Everybody else is getting their green cards and I'm still waiting, even when my priority date is current. And that goes back to some of our other questions here, which is because we have an extremely inefficient USCIS who is in a position where they are understaffed. They are using third party contractors. There is a huge training gap. And there are people whose cases just, it feels like they're just sitting on a desk rotting away until somebody has a chance to look at them. And you try things like congressional intervention, you try things like placing expedite requests, but the government is not required to respond to either of those in the way that you want them to. So it leaves you in a situation where you continue to feel like you're not making any progress. Now, I always say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So you keep reaching out to your congressperson, you keep calling USCIS, you keep placing requests as soon as you can, because if your case has been current for a long time, there's really not much else you can do, but at least it feels like you're doing something to try to move it along.
The deal is not to ever give up and always
Mm,
consult with an immigration attorney, to navigate your process, to be directed on the right path. And yes, you can also check out none other than attorney Gabriella Agostinelli. And she's from Berardi Immigration Law. So check her out. You can also check the link which you can see on the screen. But it's really great so far to have you with us, Gabriella.
thank you.
So we took up Bhargav's first question already, and of course we have more folks joined us. Let's take a couple of them. Or let's ask Bhargav's second question as well. What legal options remain for Indian families, stuck in multi-year green card queues? Are humanitarian pathways or country cap reforms gaining traction?
Yeah, so the whole thing about the green card allotment, the quotas, the 7% rule, um, the prioritization of green card issuance has been up for debate in Congress for years. There have been bills that have been put forth, but they never come to fruition. And that is because comprehensive immigration reform has been historically impossible in this country. The last time we had our major immigration reform was 1996. And the problem is with our bipartisan state is that our two parties cannot agree on anything. Congress has been futile, almost completely futile in the administration of immigration laws in this country. Um, I I am by nature an optimistic person, but after a decade of doing this, more than a decade of doing this work, I don't have much hope for any immigration reform on this rule, because there have been a lot of opportunities depending when both Republicans and Democrats were in the office, and still this couldn't come to fruition. Though I, of course, will hold out onto that hope. In terms of humanitarian pathways, well, unfortunately, this government has made exceedingly clear that it's all but foreclosing almost every humanitarian option that we have for families in this country. It's shutting down programs like Uniting for Ukraine. The Cuban, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans have been TPS has been canceled for so many people. So, unfortunately, at this time, I just have to say we are in a really difficult position. And one of the things that is super frustrating to me as an immigration attorney, one of the things that makes it really difficult for this 7-year rule or this 7% rule and the backlogs that Indians in particular face is when you have children. And to your point, Bhargav, for families, if you moved to the United States when your child was 8 years old or older, there's a good chance that that child is going to age out before that child could obtain a green card through you. That is something that even the Trump administration says that they wish to address at some point in time. Trump himself said he doesn't find that fair. Now, will that administration take any steps to try to help that situation? I'm not holding out hope for that either.
But well, we still have to have some hope, right? And
We
what
have
do we
to.
hold on to right now?
Yep, exactly.
What should we all hold? I mean, immigrants hold on to right now. What hope or what should their thought process be like right now?
Well, again, I want everybody to have confidence that if they have followed the straight and narrow and they're here on a work visa, they are here on a green card, they are here in a way where they did not enter on a humanitarian parole or any kind of temporary kind of status, and they don't have a criminal history and they're just following the straight and narrow, I say you still have hope that everything will work out for you. It may take longer than you'd like it to, but it will happen eventually.
It will. Thank you so much, Gabriella. Yes. And hello to Vinu. Hello, Doz. Hello, Sumit. Hello, Sid Mohan. Let's take up Sid Mohan. I mean, we had the questions a lot earlier, so let's pick one for her. If a non-US company, or should we take an NIWI 140? Okay,
Yeah,
this
I
one.
think the NIW questions are well placed. There was a surge in the last 3 years for NIWs, and in the first 2 years, things were going really well. There was like a 90% approval rate because all of a sudden the government was seeing a type of immigrant application immigrant petition that that hadn't been heavily utilized in a long time. And finally, people put their foot down and said, perm is taking so ridiculously long, we're going to try to backdoor it through the NIW route. They did that, and things were being approved like gangbusters, and the government said, oh, no, 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 this is not acceptable. We cannot have people getting such high approval ratings. We're going to look with much more scrutiny about who actually does deserve a green card. And it went from something like a 90% approval rate to now, I think it went as low as a 40% or 50% approval rate at some point this year. And I think, like everything that's been happening with this administration, there is a chilling effect from these policy changes, which is don't even try. You're putting yourself out there. You're taking a big risk. You might as well not even try, because the possibility that you'll be rejected is quite high. But to that said, Sid asks here, does it make sense? Should I not, is it futile? Do I not even apply until 2028 when we have a new administration? And I would say, well, it depends on your case. Our NIW cases are still getting approved. It's just, as attorneys, we want to be even more discerning that we were in the past, or at least let our clients make an informed decision that even if we do think your case is approvable, we simply cannot guarantee, nor could we ever, results. But if you do have a strong application, and yes, it's likely you'll get a request for evidence, I still think it's absolutely worth trying, and you shouldn't wait until we have a new president in the office.
Absolutely. And all the best to you, Sid Mohan. Thank you once again for joining us. And viewers out there, if you're enjoying this, do not forget to leave a like and also hit that subscribe button, the bell icon, so that whenever we have discussions here on Immigration Talk Show, you are notified. And
Yeah, and
let's
I'll just want to answer Sid's last question. Premium
sure.
processing, when you upgrade a case to premium processing, Sid, you are always opening yourself up to an RFE. Doesn't mean you wouldn't get one normally without it. So the decision whether or not you want to upgrade, I would say, is the decision to upgrade to premium processing going to be the difference between your ability to stay in the country or not, because you're having a timeout issue. If you're not having a timeout issue, I probably would play the long game if I were you.
Okay. Save the money at least.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, definitely.
All right, so let's take this next one. This is from Vinu. Vinu's asking, are international students from India facing higher scrutiny or rejection rates during F1 visa interviews and OPT transitions?
Well, we certainly have been hearing more about the visa interview portion, that being more highly scrutinized, which is leading a lot of my clients to say, well, I'm just not going home then. The OPT issue, the I-765 approvals, the approval for the EADs, the employment authorization documents, so that you can work in OPT status. I haven't heard too much about those being challenged by USCIS, but definitely I would think that DOS is taking all of this more to heart, much more specifically as it pertains to your online presence. And what I am counseling my clients is that if you have skeletons in your closet, there is any kind of material online on any of your social media platforms that can in any way be construed as being anti-American or pro-terrorist groups, which, there's this whole Israeli-Palestinian thing, is this horrific situation is a hot button issue for this government. And if there's a lot of pro-Gaza and pro-Palestinian material out there that you've promulgated, that is something that could come to impact you at your visa interview. So be exceedingly aware of your online footprint in making the decision to go forward with the visa interview.
Right. Thank you so much. And we also have been hearing a lot about these automatic EAD extensions also, stopping. So do you want to say anything on that note as well?
Yeah, I do. At first glance, we said, oh no, our poor clients. But actually, again, this is all about shock value for this administration. And when we really dug into it a bit more, there's not so much of an impact as we think. First of all, it's not affecting students. So anyone who's applying for their STEM OPT, it does not apply to them. For people who are in the middle of the green card process, who have applied for advanced parole, well, these days, these advanced parole cases are getting approved 5 years at a time. you better be getting your green card within 5 years of you submitting that green card application. So I don't think it's going to impact new applications very much. Maybe those who are stuck in that huge backlog, especially Indians right now. There are people among us who will be facing some challenges with there. We also hear about this in the context of H4 spouses. Now, personally, it's been my opinion that automatic extensions for H4 spouses has been a farce to begin with, because when you read the fine print, H4 spouses really don't receive an automatic extension. Historically, they have not. What they have had is the ability to have their option to continue working through their I-94, their admission period expiration. But for most H4 spouses, they're already at the end of their I-94 expiration period. So it really hasn't ever helped them. And as a result of that, I don't think it's going to impact them very greatly going forward.
Thank you, thank you. Farce or not for all, I do not know, but horror definitely. Many people are feeling horrified as what's going to happen. But I do hope that as you watch these webinars on our channel, friends, you have some hope and you get some light onto which direction to go. But definitely don't forget to consult with an immigration attorney, and attorney Gabriella Agostinelli could be the one you want to go on to have a consultation. So why not go check her out and check out the link which you can see on the screen. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show. And I do have more questions for you, Gabriella. So this next one is, what could be the reasons behind lawful permanent residents receiving court notices even, after years of status stability?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the biggest issue that this is going to come down to is if some information has come to light that somebody has committed a serious crime since the date that they became a permanent resident. And this is will lead into it a plug I have to make shortly, but essentially people need to understand that just having a green card doesn't keep them safe in this country. If you go on to commit a crime that in any kind of way could render you inadmissible from the United States, then the government does not have to honor your permanent residence and could take that away from you. Which is why my plug is, and always has been since the start of this administration, become a citizen as soon as you can, if you can. Now, I understand there might be some moral grounds why some people say absolutely not. For a lot of Indians, it's very challenging because you have to resign your own Indian citizenship oftentimes to become a U.S. citizen. And that's a huge decision to make. But you guys, if you are dedicated to living in the United States, to keeping your roots here, to stay in the United States, becoming a citizen is the safest thing you can do for yourself and your family. Because the difference between a green card holder and a U.S. citizen is that U.S. citizens cannot be deported. Now, even if you say, I follow the straight and narrow, I don't commit crimes, life is crazy. You could be in the wrong place, wrong time. You can make a mistake. You find yourself in a situation where you never thought you could be in. For all those possibilities, you need to protect yourself. And the way to do that is to become a citizen.
That is so true. Thank you so much, Gabriella, for taking that up. And this next one is about port of entry questions and scrutiny. So, why are some of these green card holders, experiencing a lot of extended questioning at entry points, especially in this part of enhanced security procedures?
Yes. So there's been a directive from on high to increase scrutiny across the border, literally, and across the border. We have people from all walks of life who are coming into the United States. We have visitors, we have citizens, we have permanent residents, we have people who are here on work permits, and everybody across the board is getting enhanced scrutiny coming into the United States. But I think we're hearing about it more in the context of permanent residents because there are more people who have an oopsie that happened after their permanent residence was obtained, where they've always been able to cross the border. They haven't had any issues. But this administration is being told to look one step further and wanting to really see everything in that person's history. And if somebody at the border has a red flag, even if they are a permanent resident and they have a criminal history, that officer has a discretion to open that case and to see maybe this person is no longer admissible to the United States. And if so, they need to attend a court hearing to see whether or not They really are admissible to the US and they really do deserve to keep their green card. So that is what we're seeing. Now, all of my clients, again, like I said, I'm in Buffalo. So I hear all the chatter from all my clients about what their experience is like crossing the border. And most of them report to me that it's pretty much the same. They might get a couple extra questions, but all in all, they're getting admitted to the United States. I do not want people to walk away from this conversation thinking they need to be scared to cross the border. I can't tell you how many of my clients have been told who have told me over the last year, oh no, I'm not leaving the country. I'm not crossing the border. And I tell everybody, you need to stop being afraid. You have the right to reentry. You have your work permit. You've not committed any kinds of crime. You have your green card. You have nothing to worry about as long as, again, there's no skeletons in your closet.
That's true. I think it's just media and these, I mean, it's just been pretty much fear mongering,
Yes.
multiplied by a lot more than it really is, I guess.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And deep state planned everything, says Doze. Thank you for joining us, Doze, if I'm pronouncing it right. But do subscribe to our channel. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show. And another good thing to all viewers, it's really nice to see all of you join us. You can also join us on call. The number is what you can see on the screen above. It is 425-436-6335, and the access code when they ask you to dial in, you dial in 988-888, and you can join us live right now and ask your questions directly to Attorney Gabriella. So, yes, Gabriella, we have another viewer, Sumit. Hi, Sumit. Thank you for joining us. He's asking, is the US still a reliable destination for global talent, or are countries like Canada and the UAE becoming more attractive for Indian professionals?
Well, you know, I can only speak truly to U.S. immigration law, but I will tell you, I maintain very close ties with immigration professionals in Canada since we reciprocally work together quite a lot. And, you know, the crazy thing is years ago, I would say, even, as little as 3, 4, or 5 years ago, I would say, oh yeah, if you don't get at the H-1B lottery, if things don't work out in the US, just go to Canada. The problem is Canada, who used to be very immigration friendly, all of the ramblings I'm hearing from practitioners up north are it's becoming really difficult to come here too. The multinational corporations I work with who have to work with both Canadian and US immigration professionals are saying, oh God, we're getting hit hard in Canada right now. But remember, that's not true for every case. And I think it definitely is a smart decision for all professionals to make an educated decision and do their research on which country is going to give you the highest chance of likelihood that you can most quickly and most effectively settle there if that is something that you want. Because right now, the US is definitely sending a signal that we are not going to make this easy for you. Now, is it still possible most of the time? As long as you get selected in the H-1B lottery, most of the time, yes, but there are policy impediments in place currently that are making that difficult for some.
Plus the $100,000 fee. Goodness me.
$100,000 rule, yes, which I want to just say, Nipasa and I were talking about this before we went on. The whole $100,000 thing, I mean, let's all be very clear. It's the most ridiculous rule we've heard yet. It's insulting and disrespectful for obvious reasons. But when it comes down to it, the government doesn't understand its own laws, which was clear in the way that $100,000 proclamation came down. The proclamation didn't make any sense from a legal perspective, number one. Number two, that every subsequent communication we've heard from the government has been inconsistent. So we only have our best guess right now as to what in the world this fee really is even about. But what we are hearing is that it is now at this time only going to apply to individuals who are currently living outside the United States seeking to become an H-1B visa holder in the US. It does not apply to those who are already here in the United States in H-1B status or F-1 status or any other status who are seeking a change of status or an extension of stay.
Well, there you go. And yes, it is happening. So, do you think the government has already started accepting this fee?
Yes, I think that Right now, the platform is being made right now for the government to um, indicate that they are accepting that $100,000 fee. I don't think anybody has done it yet. A big reason for that is that litigation is underway. Multiple lawsuits have been filed, and I think a lot of us attorneys are counseling our clients to just hold their breath until we hopefully hear news of some kind of injunction being placed to stop the rollout of the rule.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. I mean, so much happening, but we do hope that maybe by the end of this year we have better news, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And hi, CDK. Thank you for joining us. I'm on H1B C2C model with the same client for 3 years. USCIS emailed the client, FDNS, then issued an RFE. Employer is preparing response. What are my approval chances?
Well, even under the first Trump administration, most of the time, almost 100% of my cases were still approved in the end. They just wanted to really make us work for it. But without knowing the facts of your case, the answer to that question is it depends on how truly eligible you were. Now, the fact that you're already on an H-1B, because this presumably is an extension or a change of employer, um, it's as long as you have a very clear breakdown of if you are doing third party work, if you are going to be at multiple work sites, it has to be extremely well documented for the government to want to approve that case. That is the biggest thing right now.
Definitely. And CDK, I hope you got your answer. But feel free to keep commenting and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show. And if you want to dial in to speak directly with Attorney Gabriella, dial the number which you can see on the screen above. And also don't forget to check out Attorney Gabriella Agostinelli and visit the link which you can see on the screen. And also, Gabriella, there are um, what we have been seeing, there's this recurring patterns in the visa bulletins every month, month after month. There's not much changes, especially if you talk about, for India. And there are really long-term strategy to. Are there any long-term strategies to address these backlogs? If you have anything to say.
Well, that is why so many individuals go to the EB1. They want to, what some people choose to do is they go back to India for a year. They work for a multinational corporation and they come over and they try to back to the United States in a managerial position. They want to do EB1C, the green card for multinational managers, which is a first priority case and gets a faster race to be able to get your green card. People are also, turning to, of course, you always have the option to go family based. So if you're not yet settled down in the United States and in a partnership, you can get married to a U.S. citizen, and that's going to be a faster way that you're going to get your green card. But definitely, I think the most important thing is make sure your employer is filing a perm for you as soon as it possibly can. Do not wait until year 5 of you being in H-1B status for you to try to secure a more long-term stay in the U.S.
Right. And if you look at all these changes that are happening, Gabriella, we know all they want to do is end fraudulent activities and all these scams that are happening. They're really trying to filter out, I mean, make it real. So, have you faced or been through all these fraudulent activities or immigrants who have faced these sorts of incidents?
So, bearing in mind that the clients who come to me are all paying clients who everything is completely legitimate. Otherwise, they wouldn't spend the funds to go to an attorney to get something like this filed. But in terms of the government being suspicious that even in my legitimate cases that something is afoot, you could treat every single RFE I receive that way. It's all the government saying, I don't trust you fully, or I'm really going to make you work to prove this to me. And I think it's less about trust and more about an unwillingness to issue an approval off the bat. I think it's part of the messaging of we want to make this harder for people.
I think so also. Yes, for sure. And now let's take up this next question. This is from Sid Mohan again. Sid Mohan, sorry, Venkat. Venkat is asking, is the H-1B visa still a viable pathway for Indian professionals, or are recent policy shifts making it interestingly unstable?
No, I still think it is a viable pathway if you're a student in the United States and you are seeking a long-term strategy for living in the US. Yes, I do. You know, the lottery is another deplorable part of our immigration system, the H-1B lottery. Right now we only have about a 20 to 30% chance of selection. But assuming you can get in the lottery, I would say yes, it's still a viable pathway, but start early and as early as you can, get your employer to be on board to go along with that.
Okay. Thank you so much. And Venkata, thank you so much for joining us. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show, and we are live right now on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on X as well. Check us out. Also, Gabrielle, I just wanted to know how much more time you have with us so that I know we can address.
I can speak until 3 p.m.
Okay, that's great.
We have 15 more
So,
minutes.
perfect. So now talking about these visa holders, who face employment or status challenges during budget impasses, and how can they prepare for such uncertainties?
Well, the number one thing employers and individuals can do is the minute you hear that there is the possibility of a shutdown, to pressure your employer and their lawyer to get your LCA filed if you are in queue if you are nearing the ability to file an H-1B extension, which is 6 months prior to expiration. Get those LCAs filed, certified, downloaded, and saved as soon as possible. That's the biggest thing we can do.
That's a nice tip. I think it works for all and it's doable. So, friends, keep all these things in mind. And yes, I think by the end of the show, we will get more tips. So, stay with us and check us out. We are Immigration Talk Show, and we come with everything related to US immigration. So, next question for you, Attorney Gabriella, is what might be causing slower USCIS processing times, even outside of shutdown periods? Are
Mhm.
there any systemic or resource related factors?
Yes. So it's because USCIS has been understaffed, underfunded. Despite the ridiculous filing fees we pay, there's still not enough individuals working at USCIS to keep up with demand. There's a very high turnover rate at USCIS. It's a tough job. You're taking people who, at one point in my career, the average education of a USCIS adjudicator was a high school education. This is very complex legal material that we are working with when we do adjudications in immigration. That's a lot to ask of somebody. And then you face them with a mountain load of paperwork that you have to review in a short period of time. It's a tough job. It's an intimidating job. And a lot of people do not stay, especially when immigration is so politicized that from one administration to the next, they might be slashing jobs. People might choose not to stay because they don't agree with the directives that are coming on from higher authorities. And again, and I'm sorry to bring this up again, but the US government relies so much on third party contractors to come and fill these backlogs, and these contractors don't understand the subject material, haven't had sufficient training periods, and as a result of that, things take a lot longer. Then sometimes we have to think that because of our ever changing policies, there might be a time where the government gets a whole bunch of cases. Like, let's say, so for instance, we just started November, but October is the craziest month historically in immigration, besides cap season, H-1B cap season, because all of the visa numbers are becoming available and people can suddenly submit their adjustments of status, and then all of a sudden it's like gangbusters. The government is just being littered with adjustment of status applications, and there's not enough individuals to keep up with the demand for review.
There you go. Most of our questions or at least confusions were cleared with that answer. Thank you so much, Gabriella.
Mhm.
And well, the next thing I wanted to know about is, when applicants with similar qualifications, they experience vastly different wait times. So what does that indicate about the fairness and efficiency of the current system? Have you also faced something like this during when you're dealing with your cases?
Oh yeah, for sure. And what it really comes down to in this, somebody asked a question about this. Sid asked about how do I know which service center has my case? Well, it's usually on the receipt notice, but you get transfer notices, people have their cases shipped from one office to the next. Because sometimes one service center just takes a lot longer than the next one, not only just that, they have, like, for instance, there's a lot of policy that the California Service Center is a bit more liberal in its application of the law and its willingness to approve cases, whereas Texas or Vermont can kill you sometimes. So just to generate that many RFEs, to take that much longer to review and really scrutinize the case could take a lot longer. But what I try to tell my clients is, when your case is being delayed, it is not the substance of your case that is causing the delay most of the time. It's the practice of that office, and it is the delay and backlog that office is facing. A your case has been unlucky enough to land on that desk at that service center, and you got to wait your turn, even though it's really hard to do.
Thank you so much for taking that up. And there you go. We have taken up your question as well, Sid. Thank you for joining us. He's one of very active viewers, so I think we should take another one. What precautions should one take to travel to the home country for the first time? H1B stamping at the consulate under these new rules, H1B approved in 2023.
Yeah, there's definitely a strong urge that a lot of my clients have to say, forget it. I'm just not going to go. I'm too anxious. This is too hard. Even though I really miss my family, I still say, take the trip. My clients are getting their visas stamped all the time, even if it's their first one. What you need to keep in mind now, this is not true for visitor visas and it's not true for student visas, but when we have cases like H's and L's and TN's and O's and P's where people are getting substantively approved by USCIS, the merits of their case have been agreed as being eligible for that status. Most of the time, the visa stamping process abroad is very cursory. It's, do you have your documentations, ready for inspection? Have you attended your biometrics? Did you fill out the DS-160 properly? Unless there's something specific about that person's activity online that it's causing some kind of concern by the government. If you keep you keep it clean, you do your job, you haven't caused any problems, there should be no reason why you should be concerned about getting that H-1B visa stamped. Unless, of course, the government decides to throw us in another calamity while you're abroad and some new policy shift happens. But for the most part, I would go ahead and I would do it, Sid.
So travel, Sid. Don't have to
Get
worry
out there,
anymore.
Sid.
Yes. Thank you so much, Gabriella, for taking that up. And well, this next question is about, well, I know we don't have a definite answer, but I'll ask it anyway because so many viewers they have this question. So how long might backlogged immigrants from countries like India and China expect to wait under current processing trends?
So, from the time you submit your perm until the time that you get your green card, you're going to be waiting, if you're EB2 or EB3, about 13 years. If you have plus or minus a year. From the time that you become documentarily qualified or the time you are able to submit your adjustment of status to when you get your green card, if your priority date is current, and this is getting technical now, but on the final action dates chart, you will hopefully expect to get your green card within about 6 months. But the government is not always accurate in keeping to that timeline. And It could be anyone's guess, especially if a retrogression occurs.
Thank you
Terrible
so
answer.
much.
I'm sorry.
Yes, for sure. Well, I mean, you are dealing with many Indian clients right now as well, right?
Mhm. Yes.
So, if I may ask, just generally speaking, how many a year maybe you have to deal with their cases?
Oh, Indians, it's the majority of what I do. All day, every day, I'm talking hundreds of Indian clients that we work with that I use, even just I interface with on an annual basis. Yes. Most of them
So
are
you
business
pretty much know.
professionals.
Sorry. Yes.
I,
Sorry
I was
for
just
interrupting.
I was just saying most of them are business professionals here in HRL status, and they're here with their families and they're trying to make it work in this country and doing
Yeah.
everything they possibly can to get that green card secured for them and their family.
Well, there you go. Yes, and I think you are pretty closely knit with the Indian community then. You
Yes.
know what's going on in and out in their
Yeah.
lives as well. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's really nice, Gabriella.
Yes. Well, I
My
really do
next
enjoy working with Indians because they know for the most part, my clients know the immigration laws inside out, and it makes our ability to communicate with each other much better. But that's a it's a depressing result of them being stuck in a system that has been so unfair to them and is putting them in a place where they have to know their own immigration status in order to make sure that their family can feel secure here.
for sure. And the next, I mean, we have spoken a little bit about the $100,000 fee for H-1B filing. So, what implications could this have for the future? We heard that it's going to be merit-based immigration, right? So, what do you have to say from that perspective?
So the $100,000 rule, my own personal hunch is this is going to be trashed out of law. It's going to be done away with. This is all a publicity stunt. A court, even though everyone says, "Well, wait a second, Trump has filled the court with Republicans, and they will follow his own agenda." There is such little legal basis that this administration has to uphold this kind of fee. I do not understand in any kind of way how this fee could withstand. I do not understand at all. But there are some other changes that are from you use the word merit based. One of the big things that we are seeing on the horizon that we do have concerns about is that Trump once again is trying to bring back what he tried way back when, which was trying to make H-1Bs accessible to only those who are paid the most, the highest, or the best and the brightest, which is not what the immigration laws support. Entry level workers are the most popular H-1B workers every year during lottery season. We have a system that should allow for people from all backgrounds, for all levels of experience, who are educated to be able to obtain this visa. But we are holding on with trepidation to see how this actually would play out when it comes to wages, when it comes to who the government is going to want to approve.
That's right. That's right. And also, working class, I mean, laborers in agriculture and also healthcare industries, right? I mean, a lot of immigrants make up those sectors as well.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think it's not very fair when you think about it that way.
It isn't. And I've always said that's another one of my hot topics that I feel very passionate about in immigration, which is that our immigration laws are largely skewed towards people who have a traditional education, who have a baccalaureate degree and or perhaps higher, which does not recognize the huge labor gaps that we have in this country that immigrants are ready and willing to fill, but for our stubborn, antiquated immigration laws that currently don't offer a strong, viable pathway for these folks. So we're stuck being pigeonholed with these terribly old rules that are constantly being under threat to just try to have some level of option for individuals in this country. It's it's a terrible issue we have with our immigration system.
Yes, definitely needs a revision for sure. I hope that it happens soon,
I
Gabriella.
know. I know.
All right, I think I'll have my last question for you, and that is, with all these significant increase in visa filings, employers, skilled workers, or the broader U.S. economy, who stands to be most affected by all of these issues?
Well, right now, I mean, obviously, it's the person's life we're talking about. So it is at first and foremost going to be the skilled workers. Um, on a human level. Employers have a gun to their head right now, especially in the H-1B category, where they're being forced to pay higher fees and then confronted with this $100,000 fee. And constantly they're being put in an increasingly more scrutinized position just because they want to fill a job with somebody for by somebody who most of the time is being given the job because there is no US worker who can do that job. But absolutely, the broader US economy, if this H-1B $100,000 rule comes to fruition, or if the chilling effect of it is so great that people end up throwing their hands up and saying, I'm done with this country, I'm going somewhere else, we are really screwing our economy. Because at that point, we are removing extremely valuable talent from our country, which is not going to help us innovate. And immigrants of all backgrounds, skilled or not, contribute hugely to the US economy. If they are no longer living here, it's everybody that's going to suffer. And that is something that most Americans do not realize.
America is supposed to be a land of immigrants, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it was really lovely having you, and you patiently took up almost all of our questions. Oh, we have one more viewer who has joined us, and I don't want to leave him unanswered. It is not just the US doing this. Canada just reduces the student visa cap along with last year reduction in PR. The same with UK, Ireland, even Australia and Germany, reducing some of their pathways.
Mm-hmm. Yes, again, I can't speak to the other countries, but I definitely am familiar of this in Canada. And I'm sure you're right. A lot of when America creates policies, a lot of that gets carried over, that when you have a strong anti-immigrant sentiment in the US, we run the risk of having the same kind of sentiment be applied elsewhere. People are watching what we do in America and it carries over. And that is an unfortunate reality.
It is, it is. But thank you, DKJ, for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. All viewers out there, really, do not forget to check us out. We are Immigration Talk Show. Our handle is at Immigration Talk Show. And you can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, also on Twitter and Instagram. And also don't forget to check out Tony Gabriella Agostinelli from Berardi Immigration Law. I mean, it was really lovely, having you here with us. Thank you so much, Gabriella.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's been great being here.
And I wanted to say earlier, but I really like that painting behind
Ah,
you. It's
thank you.
lovely.
Thank
It's
you.
like a
Thank you. Yeah,
rose bouquet. Yeah.
that's right.
Thank you. It's lovely. I hope to see you soon. So I will check out with you. When will you be next available to join us again for another great session?
I would love that. I would love that.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Take care.
You too. So, viewers out there, please do not forget to check out attorney Gabriella Agostinelli, and she is from Berardi Immigration Law. And once again, thank you for joining us and check us out. You can also keep commenting if you have more questions or any comments with regard to today's session. Keep commenting wherever you're watching, and I hope to get back to you with some answers as well, maybe in our next session. Also, don't forget to share this with your friends and family or folks who can benefit most with all this information we had to share in our webinar today. I hope you enjoyed every bit of this. Please support us, and that you can do by liking and also hitting that bell icon so that whenever we have discussions like these, you are notified. And DKJ just ending up with another comment, I guess, saying a global thing, US is mainstream, hence when things happen, the world knows. But this is happening everywhere. If not directly, they are doing it indirectly. Either increase requires or remove options. Well, another perspective. And thank you so much for sharing your opinion with us, DKJ. Lovely having you. And this is it. You can also reach out to me on my WhatsApp, or this is also my number where you can call in. My number is 408-335-6444. You can email me at nipa@staffingly.com. This is it. Thank you so much for joining us. Y'all out there, keep having a wonderful day and stay tuned on Immigration Talk Show. It's Nipa saying bye for now.